Hello and welcome. I'm going to start the. Oh, I haven't got my second account in. I'm going to start the recording, and then I'll kind of do an intro, but we won't have all this fluff near the front for the recording end, so don't worry about that. Where are we going now? But no, thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to Watch Your Game, episode 25. We have done 25 episodes, as the title suggests, across 26 weeks, because I did take a week off for Christmas, because I had a feeling I might get told off by my wife if I was doing it during Christmas. Turns out I would have been fine, but I hadn't booked anyone, so I just took the night off and played computer games instead. It's really kind of enjoyable to keep talking to projects. I love the fact that everyone is kind of giving their time, and you guys in the audience are giving you time to come and listen. It's really appreciated, because without you guys, I wouldn't be talking to anyone. The idea of the space is to introduce new projects to an audience of gamers, whether it's through this live bit where you can ask questions, or through the recordings, and eventually through the YouTube when I actually get back around to uploading them. Just so you get to hear more about these games. The key question is always going to be, what's your game? Definitely focus mainly on the gameplay aspects of it, the player journey, touch on tokens and NFTs kind of as they come up, but it's not the kind of core focus of the space. I'm the host for the hour and a half. I do various content-y bits between TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and I also wear a marketing manager hat for Sofrutix that you see in the audience, which is a Web3 game. So I kind of get to see all areas of Web3 game development at the moment. I do not pretend to know anything about developing a game or any of the skills needed to develop a game. So if we start getting too deep into Unreal Engine and things like that, I will nod and agree, but I probably won't have that many intelligent questions about how it all pieces together on the engine side of things. Today we're going to do a quick update of the games we had out previously. I was just mentioning before that we're 56th and 57th game at this point, which I'm aiming for that 100. I never thought I'd get to 50, so to get to 50, I'm now swinging for the 100. And then at that point, I think I will get too long to keep doing updates. I'll pick a couple of projects, and then that's kind of all I can do at the moment. And then we'll go first, listen to one of them and then the other. They're both starting with Rogue, so one's now Fox and one's now Galaxies, because I've renamed them. Do either of you have like a bedtime coming up? Is it 2 a.m. in the morning for either of you? Would either of you prefer to be the first one due to timings at all?
Yeah, so my end, it's around 8:42 UTC. Yeah, I'm currently away from London, from the UK, so I need to grab dinner fairly soon. I know it's a trivial excuse, but I'm thinking if we go too long, I might starve to death.
Well, we don't want you getting hangry, so we will allow you to go first, unless you can be trumped by it being like 2 a.m. For Galaxies at all. Or are you all right?
I'm more hungry.
Pardon? I'm
No, it's okay.
I'm
Please,
double
ladies.
hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Please.
Yeah, that works fine then. So we'll go Foxes and then we'll go Galaxies. If at any point anyone's got any questions, feel free to come up. It's completely free stage. Obviously, try and ask these guys questions. Don't come up with... I tolerate some nonsense. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy a bit of nonsense, but don't try and at least direct the questions vaguely towards the two projects. If you don't want to come up at all, in the bottom right hand corner you see the speech bubble. Miggy's already given us some love hearts down there. You're able to post questions there, and then I can read them out to the projects, as well as making sure, if you're enjoying listening to them, make sure to follow on Twitter, go along to their Discords, where you'll be able to find more and kind of get involved with their communities. With that being said, now I will just flip over to my quick updates. It's actually been quite busy. Everyone has definitely put their resolution hats on since coming back after Christmas and the New Year, and really been pushing forward on the games. So I'm a little bit spoiled for choice with the updates. to come down, but I am going to try to keep it relatively quick of what's been going on. One that I do want to mention, and I will be pinning it to the top, is we see Blockstars down in the audience are doing a first mega space of the year this Friday, so make sure to come along to that. The mega spaces are always very fun. We've done quite a few of them at this point. We've had people drinking from shoes. We've found out how people met their better half. We've had dating advice. We have also talked about games, probably not as much as maybe a gaming space was going to, because we get sidetracked quite easily. But I would definitely recommend coming along to that and have a listen. The list of games that Blockstars have pulled together for that is really impressive. So come along, hang out, come up, talk nonsense. Definitely worth having a look through. Another one that has had an update recently, where's it gone? We had Eon Guardians up before Christmas. They are currently doing their newest mint. Today, you have to be a Vanguard within their Discord, and as it kind of goes through till I think it's 2 days time, maybe the 11th, that's when public kind of mints there. But obviously if they run out, they run out. And so far it looks like they've been doing really well. They've been posting a lot about the mint. Really excited kind of with what they're building, and I like the art of what they've been doing with those. Haven't done enough Discord grinding myself to be one of the cool kids, so I would keep my eye out on the public mint. And then lastly, where's it gone? Sorry, I had them all saved up here, but it looks like it's not going to come up. I think we will go with AI Arena as the last update. AI Arena came up previously. They are a 2D platform battler, but you train an AI to fight on your behalf. They're in closed kind of mode at the moment, so you can only play during their tournaments, and they're about to launch their second tournament, which lasts about 5 days. And a couple of friends that we have of the show are going to be entering a team. So PGG's got one team, and then I think one of the other guilds we've talked to previously has a team as well. So definitely keep an eye out on that. I've pinned to the top a Twitter list that I maintain, which has all of the projects that have been on the show. So if you do want to follow them and keep up to date with them, go and follow that list. But that is the rapid fire updates. If we now move over to Rogue Fox with the most important question of what's your game, but to be more specific, who are you and what's your role in the game, and then what's the game?
Thanks for this. And first of all, it's absolutely a pleasure to be here. This is my first space for this year, after the break and the holiday that I'm sure most people here need it as well as I did. So yes, I'm Anna. I'm one of the co-founders of Rogue Fox. We are rebranding to Rogues for simplicity very soon. And yeah, I would love to start with your questions about the team and mostly who I am, but also who everyone else is, because as I feel that this is quite an important element to everything that we do, especially as I'm sure you know, more and more games have emerged and more kind of activity happens in the Web3 gaming space. So I think this is crucial a question. And so my name is Anna. My actual background is product design, which means UX UI, right? Digital product design. And this is my third venture as a co-founder. So I've been an entrepreneur since 2017, working in the virtual reality space actually for a few years, way before it was called the metaverse. So me and the other co-founder Morgan, we worked together prior co-founding this project, this venture. And Morgan is our CTO, Morgan Page. He has previously created a game with 1.4 million downloads as an indie developer. So he comes from heavy game development background, and together with him and the other co-founders, we gathered together to think of what we've always wanted to do a game, right? This was way before Web3, and as Web3 kind of started to take off, we really wanted to explore the opportunities and just the thinking and the values and everything else that Web3 creates. So about October 2021, we sat down, we thought, what should we do? And we actually started with the NFT collection, the Genesis NFT collection of Foxes, thinking of that, how we would transition into a game, starting with those characters. But like I said, me and Morgan, we have been in the space as entrepreneurs for quite a few years. This is our first kind of official gaming venture together, but our previous business was more around gamified training. But finally, this was an opportunity for us to make our dreams a reality, essentially. And when we started to work in Web3 and Web3 gaming, we absolutely fell in love with everything that Web3 stands for, right? Community, working together with the community, creating with the community. This is number one. And really, up until forever, right? This is the number one thing that probably appeals to us, that we can create with the community. So we can create a game that is extremely led by community, but also very social and very inclusive in this aspect. And I can talk a lot about my background and kind of how this relates with Web3, but in short, this is our skill set really combined and kind of contributed to really create this game together. So what is Rogues? What is Rogues? In the one line pitch here is we are post-apocalyptic social game with a full game economy where you can gather resources, you can craft those resources in a social space together or on your own or together with your friends, and then you can socialize and go on a quest with together or with your friends. So it's essentially a fully social. It's an MMORPG, but we're really reinventing the genre, right? So think MMORPG meets a social game with crafting and resource gathering, right? So probably there is no exact genre for it, but I think something like World of Warcraft for Web3. So the game is extremely social. We've essentially focused on the post-apocalyptic look and feel. That's the theme. Because we really want to present a view where it's very quirky and thinking about the future as well. So why rogues, right? This is a great word, and I think probably that's the theme for today's space, because we're both rogues, right? For us, how we see rogues, maybe Ignacio, you guys, Galaxies, you probably may see it differently, but for us, rogues can always stand for the different type of hero, right? The underdog. Should we call the underfox to start with? The hero that is quirky, that is different. We are not talking here a standard, a hero and an anti-hero, right? We're talking characters that you can play with, where you can choose whether you want to be good or bad. There is ambiguity in the characters. We are really tired of seeing same old. And actually, as 2022 progressed, as Web3 gaming progressed, what we started to see, I personally started to see a lot of the same games, being that, they're talking about epic battles, right? Epic battles, MMORPG, where you go and explore. You're generally a male character with a sword, or like definitely medieval, no, but of course, all respect to these games, but for us personally, we wanted to create something different. So when already in the game, when you have armor, for example, this is just an example, right? Our armor is not I don't know, a medieval silver armor, right? Our armor is a basic armor, or a rare armor is cardboard boxes, right? That are just quirky, right? The foxes have found those items in the post-apocalyptic world they're creating. So they've redefined what armor should be, right? They've reinvented the world. They use the resources that they found. So that's the core of the world we're creating. it's really how can we be different and how can we reinvent the genre. So with everything that we do, we're actually thinking what is the story and what's the moral that we're giving as well. You know, we have to stop to think about games that are just kind of the same topic. We have to start to think how can games be fun but also leave a good message. So yeah, on the topic of fun, I don't know if I'm talking too much. Did you have another question, or should I continue with more information here?
Don't worry, I am taking notes as you go through to line up any questions that come through. I love the passion, though. That's what it is. I think you can always tell when you're talking to people. I've been quite lucky, actually, with the people who've come up. But when you're listening in spaces, you can always tell when people are talking from the heart about the game or when they're paid to talk about a game. And the passion is definitely there. So I'm happy for either you to keep explaining more to us, or I've got some other kind of questions as well. So however you'd prefer to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to continue. I think just to cover the points. And yes, that's my first space of the year, so that's more of a warm up for for me back in the game, right? Yeah. So the point is, at this point, on the topic of fun, right? At this point, we've all heard the same, that a Web3 game should be fun. Ta-da, right? We kind of reinvent the world here. It's like 6 months ago, everyone was thinking, really? Wow, that's new information. I love it. Hopefully everyone here at this point in the audience knows that the first and foremost thing is that the game that succeeds in Web3 should be fun and good and engaging and obviously enjoyable to play with. So that goes without saying. But how we want to bring fun in our case is not. It's not as simple as we've created a world that we've spent, I don't know, a year. We're the creators. We've invented the storyline, and it's all set in stone. This is what we want to build, right? We really want to bring the community as co-creators. And this is the Web3 way how we see it. So on that basis, we're not leading with the lore that we have. Yes, we have some lore which acts as a foundation of the storyline, but we are really building almost as we go, as we get feedback of really what the community wants. And this is something that in previously has been called agile in Web3. For me, in Web3, that should be the norm, right? We're not talking anymore of like a steady one line creation where the team comes up with everything, they execute, and then just asks the community for feedback. The community that we have, they're co-creators with us. And on that topic, we have quite an engaged community. I see some people, that's why I'm laughing here. Hi guys. So good to see you for the first time this year. And yeah, so they're co-creators with us, but also they yeah, we really we love our community, so we really get them yeah, just be part of the team pretty much. So yeah, so going back to the topic of fun, the key things, how we're seeing this is the only way for a Web3 game to survive past for many years to come, is to include, as well as the actual engaging game, is the community. And it's one of my topics is always community past just NFT community, right? How do you actually create a gaming community in game? And this is one of our premises, that in our game we're extremely social. So it's all about the social interaction, and the game design is oriented around that. So we already have the social hub already launched in alpha, and in there people can use their avatars, play with their avatars, chat. This is very much another social feature. Play together. Yeah, do quite a lot of things. So it's social first, not social after, right? So it's social first for a reason, because we believe that this is the only way to create a game that lasts. And we're seeing these examples in Web 2 as well as Web 3. So yes, in terms of development and roadmap, I'm sure you have some questions around that. What we have launched already is our our alpha, and we are releasing pretty much once a month a new release. So we like to be very agile, very nimble. We're not interested in being in a room for a year and then ta-da, this is our release. We're actually releasing once a month for a reason, so we can we can get feedback, we can test things properly, and we can really build in a agile way. And yeah, that works, and that resists any kind of product market fit issues further down the line. And yeah, so what we've built already is the social hub. We're essentially releasing the resource, the game economy, very soon. We already have some of those items, so you can already chop trees, gather resources like that. So crafting is coming very, very soon. And then after that, we will be releasing a player versus player game within the social hub. And further down the line, the year, we are looking at the full questing module.
No, that's a really good intro. I have taken many notes. You've piqued my interest with a lot of different bits that you've been saying as you've kind of gone through. I just want to, because we've had a few more people jump in. If you do have any questions, use the speech bubble or request to come up and you can ask questions of the project. I've wrote mine down in case people ask questions and then I forget mine. So I've been prepared. Also, quick hello to my co-host. Sandbox has made it, hopefully caught some of what you were saying, so I'll have some questions as well. So we'll kind of flick between me, him, and anyone from the audience who does come up at any point. My first bit, so for those in the audience, I've pinned some bits to the top so you can have a look at. I've pinned the end of year report for anyone who wants to go and do a bit of reading, and then a couple of the community members. I think one of them's actually here. I'm assuming community members, they might work for you, I don't know. I've pinned to the top there foxes, just so people can kind of see the art style. My kind of first question, and I don't know if I should know this, I try and keep myself fresh for kind of asking questions, but the Medium article has a piece of art on it which instantly gives me strong Don't Starve vibes. Have you guys played that? Is that any inspiration, or am I just getting vibes?
Yes, you're spot on there. That's it. Yeah, that's one of our inspiration. And this, if you're looking at, and that's probably an in-game footage, right? If I think if you're getting that feel, that's probably already how the game looks. So it's essentially. I was going to say top down. Yes, it's a top down, but it's the camera. It's not exactly. There is a slightly difference between the Don't Starve one, but it's very similar. Yes, so it's we're unapologetically 2D for a reason. Again, this is we believe that there is more flexibility in this style, and also our artists. We have Sylvia was the artist for the NFT for the PFPs for the Genesis collection, and then Simone is the artist for the game. And basically, that's their style. They excel at 2D art. And yes, indie games such as Don't Starve are the games that I personally like to play the most. And Morgan as well. So it's the teams, one of their our favorite genres, I would say. And Don't Starve was an inspiration. I like others indie games, like for example Darkest Dungeon. That's a dark one, but I definitely like indie games. And yeah,
I am a massive fan of Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together, both brilliant games, and I love the style. So the second I saw that bit, because before when I've been browsing, I've only really seen the PFPs, which I do like as well, but seeing the gameplay footage definitely giving me the warm fuzzies, reminding me of playing on the Don't Starve Together servers. Just so I kind of can paint a bit of a picture for those who kind of only seen some of the images that I've pinned to the top. I'm a fox, and as I build, you were saying about the armor, rather than getting carried away with kind of metal armor like a human knight would be wearing, I'm equipping myself with cardboard boxes and other bits that you might find about, like little bits of scrap. Is that kind of how it's working?
Yeah, so we have a few resources without getting bogged down in the details. Yes, that in short, we have yes, these are some of the resources that you can gather. For example, woods, flaxseed, rock, right? And with those items, essentially, you can craft your armor. So you can craft your armor. The resources themselves are not NFTs, but once you craft your armor, and that's our next release, right? That's yet to come, the crafting element itself, the crafting module. But once you craft your armor or weapons, that's an NFT already. But we've also done NFTs already for some pieces of the armor, right? Like the cardboard box and some like fishing rods, etc. We've done that as previously as free airdrops or free mints, and that is just to give kind of a little bit, obviously, rewards to our holders, etc. But there will be similar items will be craftable in the game as well. Correct.
No, that's really cool. I like the kind of aesthetic of it and how it's kind of being pulled together. Definitely like it. Sandbox, remember to jump in at any point because I will just motor my way through my list of questions otherwise. One thing kind of you mentioned as well, which I'm a big fan of lore. I can get lost in lore. I think that lore can not make up, that's the wrong word. You don't need realism if you've got strong lore. And you can get lost in it, even with like the 2D style. You can get lost in it if there's a good story behind it and it pulls you together. I like what you're saying about building it with the community, with the lore. How are you kind of handling the aspect that obviously with it coming from loads of different places, it could go a little bit all over the place in terms of tone and style? Is there kind of an aspect of curation with it, and is that team based or is that again community based with the kind of ideas that come in?
Yeah, great question. And I really love how you framed it as well. I think curation is probably a really great word and the right word for what we're trying to do. So yes, there will at the moment there is more centralized curation. We are early on, and I agree with you that there needs to be some level of that. So that's the plan. Definitely. I mean, our community is very nice, very amicable, right? No one ever would be kind of grumpy or anything like that for not not having their particular story featured, for example, or their particular take. So right now, yes, we are curating and we are making the final decisions on a lot of things ultimately, but we will see what to do going forward, right? And especially as the community grow, there might be more yeah, essentially better processes in place probably. But right now, yes, it's the team's final word, and at the moment it's more of a team effort. I'm not yes, I'm not the one, no, nor is anyone specific. Whereas, for example, the art is the artist, right? Simone at the moment. Whereas for the writing and that is more of a team effort. And Morgan, by the way, as well as technical lead, CTO, right? He's also very much game design lead as well. And like I said, his ability to have created a game before means that yes, he did everything, the game design as well as the development. So we've got that cover, and yes, that's he really has a really active input on how the game feels and how the game behaves, etc.
No, that sounds really good, and I do like the idea because there is a lot of shouting in the space that we're doing it with the community, we're building with the community, and I think for some games, I don't think that is true from what they're saying. I think for other games, I don't think it's applicable because I just don't think the game kind of would work. But with this one, it definitely seems to make sense, and I think if you've got the right community and the right early people, I think it can really help make a great game that hits your kind of target audience because it's been built kind of by the audience. So I do agree that I think that's a great way of working as you're going through. I am a bit all over the place with my notes, so I'm going to go with my next one is we've got people in the audience. Hopefully we've got gamers. Hopefully they're liking the sound of it. I know I am. What would I have to do at the moment to get involved with playing, or is it currently closed? Is there any steps? What kind of things are involved at the moment to be able to play?
That's a great question. So right now, we're actually quite quite flexible. It is a bit of a closed alpha, but all that you have to do is go on our Discord, maybe be a little bit of an active member there, so the team can really spot you. But all that you need to do essentially is go on Discord and express interest to be alpha tester, and most likely you get that role essentially by me or somebody or our community managers. So that's how it is at the moment. Technically it's closed, but we're pretty good at that. Let's not create fake FOMO here, especially on this space that I see with some very professional people, that at the end of the day, this is the truth. It's I'm not gonna create some fake FOMO right now. I'm not good at that, right? You can get in on the alpha if you go in our server and essentially express interest. There's a little form to fill, but that's easy. And yeah, and you can start playing. We have alpha testing sessions every couple of weeks. That's the other thing, is like we open special time slot for that, and it's always very fun because we always gather together in Discord, we chat, whoever wants to chat, and yeah, we had a really great audio session as well as just playing together. That's the key, because it's a social game. We have to be there kind of at the same time to experience it at best. And we're looking, of course, at opening for more people. We have very exciting plans. We have actually our second chain to open up to, second chain that we'll be supporting very, very soon, as we receive the second grant. So the first one was Polygon, and we are built on Polygon, the NFTs on Polygon, and now we'll be integrating Near, and that's the news that we've got grant from Near blockchain as well. So quite excited. I'm quite excited about that. We'll bring new players from new communities from Near ecosystem, and we've got some ambitious targets to meet around active users for that grant and some other grants as well. So that's super exciting, definitely in Q1. But just to add on your previous topic about co-creation, I keep forgetting to stress some really, really cool stuff that we did together with our community. So, I mean, we just so lean and so kind of reactive that couple of times already. First, we changed the game. We changed the environment per events. For Halloween and for Christmas, we had specific themed events in the game, like maybe that landscape that you saw was like Christmassy. We also did Halloween, etc. We also opened competitions to the community, so for them to draw items that we then turned into NFTs of clothing and masks, right, for them to wear in the game. So already 2 of our community members' art has been featured in our game. On top of that, we've done some Easter eggs specifically for our communities, where you walk around and you kind of have a stumble, and there is a little bit of a surprise there, something that's just basically after our community member, like a Rogue Odin is a bush in the game. He was here early in this space. He's our community manager, but like community member. And yeah, we've done that already. We love to feature communities, objects, ideas, and even Easter eggs in the game.
No, I think that all sounds really cool, and you're stealing my questions with your answers. So I'm writing down quickly, and then I'm just ticking them off. It's very good. Because what I was going to say is that with it being a social game, doing it timed really makes sense. Because otherwise, you're going to definitely miss the social aspect if you're just running around on your Todd, and it's meant to be playing kind of together. To link into that, if on launch I don't have any friends, how does the game kind of help me find friends, and how does it kind of encourage that side of things?
This is a great question, actually. I don't think anyone has thought about this before and asked me that. I love it. So one thing we're planning to do is, which also will help of a bit of a virality, is the ability to invite friends and lend them your NFTs. So this is something that we're really excited to launch fairly soon as well. By that, I mean this quarter. So for example, perhaps here in the audience, right, he's got 20 NFTs, 20 foxes. So for him to be able to share those NFTs with his friends, we think that this is a great way to essentially invite your own friends, right? So you can play with your friends. That may not even be in NFTs or Web3, right? But you can lend your NFT and invite them to the game. As for meeting strangers and meeting new friends, I think that's a great question that we really haven't really explored in depth. But some ideas include, of course, integrating with with other projects, NFT projects, so you can really we get other collections. So for example, think. This is something also happening on the roadmap. Think, for example, right, the obvious example, the board apes, right? You can have we can have integration with those collections, so their members come in as well and have some bonuses in our game. And of course they'll be able to play with those NFTs, but that's not for all collections, of course. So with some partners, we'll be able to integrate their NFTs as well. We're already looking at 2 or 3 partners. So if guys, Rogue Galaxies, if you have NFT Genesis collection that you want to integrate in our game, would love to talk. So that's something that we're launching as well. So eventually, I'm thinking you can even filter by that. And if you want to, say, be in a chat room and be in a social hub with again the board apes, right, you can probably search for that collection and maybe meet some friends from there, right? So that's one way that we're looking at this, expanding in the Web3, integrating with many NFT collections and even Web3 games, right? And characters from other Web3 games that you can then play with, or play together with, or play as, if you have the NFT.
No, that sounds really good. And the reason it comes up is because I don't have any friends, so that's where I thought of it. No, it's only a joke. Definitely like the idea, kind of that way of doing it to bring people together. San, jump in if you have any questions. Golden, you came up. I don't know if it was for a question or not, because I've not seen a hand, but just checking in on you.
I was just about to say, Gaspode, the reason that you asked that question was because of me, but then you took it and then you answered it to yourself.
Hey, I will find you friends, Gaspode. We'll find you some friends in the game. Do not worry.
I haven't asked much about the game, but I think that you guys are building something really cool. When Gaspode talked about "Don't Starve," to me that was just something that was really big, because that's another game that I've really enjoyed playing a lot of, and I'm really excited to see what you guys end up coming out with. And yeah, I think that you guys are going to end up seeing Gaspode and I in your Discord, talking or chatting it up, and then probably try to get access through that way, so we can play it together.
100%. And Sandbox is a friend. There we are, mate. I found a friend already. It's worked already.
Yep.
Golden, you've got your hand up for a question?
Yeah, my question is, and this is a relatively new question because a lot of people are developing MMORPGs, is for the people who maybe like the game but don't actually want to participate with and play with other people. Are there which is the way a lot of MMOs have been played historically. It's just some solo players just liking the content. Do you have any plans just to compensate for players who just want to play the game by themselves?
Yeah, I think it's a great. Oh, sorry, echo. I think it's a great question. I know that the product team, product team, by that Morgan and Ben, who are our tokenomists and game economy leads. I know that they really focus on the social game. We will leave the option for people, of course, to play solo. It's just that's a little bit. I would say that's a little bit further down the line. It's not our immediate priority. We do want to focus on the social experience first. But yes, the game will allow for that, and will be designed for that as well further down the line. I think the whole social experience and the whole work playing together would be more around providing additional bonuses, additional experiences, right, when you play as a group, such as in-game guild forming. But I think a good game design, I'm sure my colleagues would confirm that a good game design caters for all scenario, right? It doesn't push one way or another in which you're forced to do something, right? Just because the game wants to put you in the box. So yes, the short answer is we'll cater for that, for the solo experience. While that's something that is further down the line, because our roadmap is starting with the social hub, so we're starting social first, and that is also just for practical reasons, which I'm not hiding from anyone, that for to do the full MMORPG content, that's more work, right? That's Q2, 3, and 4 of this year. So that's what I'm saying, further down the line when we have a little bit more traction. Also financially, right? It's important to talk about that. That's another element that, yeah, we're starting social first, and getting those players can then provide that financial backup. So yeah, it's something we will look at, and I'd love to develop very far. But it's more like Q2 of this year onwards.
No, great question, Golden. I definitely think that kind of comes up with it, and it's triggered one of my. This will probably be my last question. I think I'm just looking through my notes, and then I don't know if you'll have any, San, or again, big invite to the audience. If you've got any questions, come up, ask, or pop them in the bottom. I've been keeping an eye on the comments as we go through. But my kind of I'm going to start with a statement, and then I'm going to go to questions. So I get a Fox NFT. I look like that fox in game. I've decided it's a question, not a statement, actually. Okay, there's a heart. I think that
Okay.
seems.
So how do you get? So the Genesis NFTs are on Polygon. They're on OpenSea
Yeah.
for purchase. We will be opening some more mints. That's actually a great question, because we haven't covered that. That we've done stage minting, where we open the Genesis NFT minting for limited time and very, very limited amount. So this way we've managed to keep the demand supply very spot on, right? So there is definitely no like sharp floor drops or anything like that. So yeah, we've got exactly 680 on OpenSea right now, minted. We will be opening more to be minted from that Genesis collection, because the full Genesis collection is 10,000. But this is going to be later in the year. So my advice right now is, to check OpenSea for our NFTs there. Now, it's quite important. Something that I haven't mentioned is actually once you get the Fox, of course, it has the standard rarities per NFTs as well. But what we're doing very soon is you already can obviously log in on our website with that NFT. And you see your traits, and you see the rarity, you see the full body avatar. What we're releasing next, as part of our next release, is the ability to change some of those items, right? Some of those traits or assets, should we say, like, I don't know, your hat, your your pajamas. There is one trait, right? You've got not a onesie, but yeah, we've got quite a few, like a couple of sweaters, or fox hats. So you can change those traits. So essentially repurpose and redesign your fox, that it looks different in game. And it's something that we did a little bit of that for Christmas card very recently, that we allowed people to log in, put some Santa hats and all of that. It was super fun. I love that. It was foxmas.io. It's still live, by the way, but I know Christmas is over. But on foxmas.io, you see that you're able to change the traits, and it's something that we'll explore more and release for the game as well. So this way, if you own more NFTs, you can interchange those traits. Say you have a second NFT with a different hat, you can put it to the first fox. So it's something that my community told me to talk about more. They said, this is a great USP, we should talk about this more. And I was like, sure, if you guys think that this is something that excites you. I don't know what people think, but it's essentially customization of the avatar in a very flexible, very modular way. And yeah, so the more NFTs you hold, the more traits you have available, the more accessories and all of that. And they're all super quirky. You can see in this pin tweet the rabbit ears. Some of them are really really quirky like that, like the martini with a dead eye in there. That's my favorite. So yeah, so that's the Genesis NFT collection.
No, that sounds really good. And I've gone through my notes now, and you've answered them all. I like what you were saying when you were talking about it's closed, but it's not. I did just want to cover off that point because I think that's something in my other hat as a marketing manager I get asked about quite a lot because we're in closed alpha, but it's a similar sort of feeling as what you're mentioning, that right now you're building, right now you're kind of testing the game out. You want the people involved to be involved for the right reason, to have the mentality for that kind of testing, to give feedback in a way that isn't just, oh, I hate this game sort of thing. So I definitely think handpicking and getting people out of your Discord really helps with that, and is quite important to be able to work and build with the community without having to curate what they're doing too much, because you've got the people that you want to work with in there. So I just wanted to come back to that, and I think that's a really good way of doing it. No one has come up with any questions. If you do have any questions and you've been waiting to come up, jump back up and we'll see kind of how if we can go back to it. I thought someone had been posting questions, but someone has been posting a lottery to the bottom. I don't think I can do anything about that. So don't trust that lottery. It's probably not legit. If you have any questions in the meantime, do post them to the bottom or come up. A few more people have joined since we started. So we've just heard from Rogue Fox. The space is recorded, so you can go back and hear what you missed, or it will be going on YouTube. Thanks for sharing the game with us. If you've liked it, everyone, make sure to go and follow, check out the Discord, check out the Foxes. Just a quick refresh of the room. Welcome to Watch Your Game. We're on episode 25. We'll be hearing from Rogue Galaxies next. The idea of the space is to connect games with gamers, and that's you guys down in the audience. Thanks for everyone who decided to come spend the time with us today. It's really kind of important that people are here to listen. For the games, personally, I would talk to them if anyone was listening or not, because I really enjoy doing it. But it's definitely worth it for hearing some of these great projects that are coming out. If you like games and you have friends who like games, make sure to tweet, reply, retweet, follow, and all that Twitter jazz to get them in to hear more about these games. But with that, we will be moving over to Rogue Galaxies. Who are you, and what's your game? God, I almost got my own title wrong.
Hello. I'm Ignacio. I'm the creative and storyteller for Rogue Galaxies. I'll just do a little intro. I actually come from film and music videos, and directing, cinematography, but I've through my film studies and through my art studies, I've tried to dedicate myself more to storytelling. And I'm trying to really get deep into what storytelling is. That's because I'm actually creating another project called Finding Story, which is nothing to do with these projects specifically, but it's more about going to depth of story. So that's why I was called in to be part of the team, or the three founders of Rogue Galaxies, with Eve and Robin. They couldn't be here tonight. It's 10:30 here in Germany, and we're in Germany. And we've been working since 6 a.m. and they had to go off because we have other calls in the morning. So I'm here. And my little journey through crypto has, because I think that's important to say, we're all in the same boat. We're all gamers, we're all crypto enthusiasts, blockchain enthusiasts. And my journey started with small investments in different cryptocurrencies, and my start into the NFT world started with a project called Danketsu, previously called Ada Ninjas. Danketsu, and this all connects. Danketsu, we started off with, it's a manga project that was driven by the community. So I created a world, I created a lore that I later shared with the community, and through different things that we did on Discord and different gamifications and different just interactions with the community, we created chapter by chapter of a couple of manga books that was influenced and co-created with the community. We have 2 books that came out. One actually has an NFT link, so the book itself is linked to an NFT for proof of ownership, and these NFTs cannot be taken off the books. So these few copies are stuck to the NFT forever. And we also created a game with that project, and that's where my journey with Eve and Robin began. Because as the chief creative officer of that project, they came along to help us create this game, Shards of Nineveh, which is also free to play. You don't need an NFT of ours. All you need to do is connect your wallet. Just so you guys know, we're on the Cardano blockchain, both projects, Tenketsu and Rogue Galaxies. And you can play Shards of Nineveh for free, and you don't even need one of our NFTs. You can just play. Hopefully that will develop further. At the moment with Danketsu, we're focusing more on tokens. But today I'm here to talk about Rogue Galaxies. And on that journey with Shards of Nineveh, I met Eve and Robin, and that's where we began our journey with Rogue Galaxies, which came with from Endmaker. Endmaker, if you guys know, is a platform, is a company that creates like a grand majority of the NFTs on the Cardano blockchain, plus millions of other solutions and store, etc. And the CEO, the owner, Patrick Tobler, called me over to be part of this team because he also knew Eve and Robin. And I created this little story around the idea of our game, which is a sci-fi roguelike MMO. If you guys don't know what a roguelike is, just in case, because it's not the most mainstream style, roguelikes are when you go through a dungeon, or you go through a quest, or you go through a specific mission or something that you can repeat multiple times, and it's got different sections or different parts that become increasingly difficult, and at some parts or even at the end you have to battle bosses and harder bosses, and if you lose you have to start from the beginning again, but with more quirks, with more perks, with more power-ups, and that's what we're implementing into our game. The sci-fi genre comes from the idea of the story that we put together. We are 11,000 years in the future. Earth no longer exists. The humanity has spread throughout the galaxy, at every corner, every planet, every star system, and or at least the livable ones. And this is already where we started playing around with our community to help them create with us. We did a mintathon at the beginning of December where everyone in the community that was interested could create the idea of how one part of humanity might have evolved depending on the environment that they lived, or the planet, or if they lived on spaceships in space. They later minted their characters and created the lore for their characters. These are all characters that will have already influenced me and are already influencing the ideas of how the game will evolve. Now, this is a relatively new project. The game isn't out yet. We still don't have an alpha. We began mid last year, mid 2022, with just the story and the plan of what we really wanted to create. And the game itself, the announcement of the game, the moment we told the community on Cardano that we were building this was around November, and our first mint was in December, and we sold 1,000 NFTs in December, which are also thanks to Rogue Fox for I mean, there's so many parallels in between our games, but yeah, it's our Genesis season as well, and we're calling it the 0.1 season. And the whole game, because we all know games take a very, very long time to make, we planned a modular release to the game, because this is a very visual heavy game. If you guys check out our website, roguegalaxies.com, you will see what I mean. There's a lot of space, and we're talking about worlds that we want to create, and cities, and as social hubs as well, mega cities and space stations. This is going to be a bigger game to create, and because it takes so long, now in January we're already creating a gamification that's more story centric, to also get the community involved in creating the lore of what will be the game. And the game itself, playable game, aside from the gamification on the website, It will be coming out around Q3 of this year, but that's just the first module, which will be the space module. And the space module, you'll be able to do missions and quests in space and live the story and move around the galaxy and be able to. We also have an economy of materials and specific instruments that are around the galaxy to be able to strengthen yourself for the next roguelike passing through of different dungeons and quests. And after that development, after we've released it and people have been already playing it, we'll introduce the next module a quarter or two afterwards of the planet expeditions, where you actually be able to land with your ships and play in these more roguelike concentric rings around the planet, where the further you go from the safe spot, the harder it becomes, and there's a time limit to your gameplay, and you might, like I said, you might lose, you might win. That's the exciting part of it, and that's what I love about roguelikes as well. Like, I mean, I'm sure all of you know Hades. I still have not escaped that the hell, but it's that excitement which we will also want to get into the game. And after the planet expedition, we'll release the social hub part, the more complex part, the MMO part. You'll be able to own your own planets, create your own cities, create your own hubs in the way that you want it. We don't want to create a game where, for example, you have specific specializations. You can modify. It's a little bit like Cyberpunk, where you could reset and make a completely different character. It's you play who you want to be when you want to be it, when you need to be it. Depending on what planet you go, what kind of missions, you might have to change your character completely. However, our NFTs, which are both the access and the playable objects, are spaceships at the moment. We released the first 1,000 of a 3,000 series, which we're releasing monthly, and the first 1,000 were released in December. And those ships will be also modular. So the cockpit, the wings, the different weapons, the slots, these are all things that can be modified and mixed and matched with different NFTs. And on the side, we also release season passes, and these season passes allow us to also give access to different gamification parts of the website and the Discord and their connection, and later on the modular sections. By the way, stop me at any moment. I'm just talking and talking, and I don't know if it's all making sense. I'm just letting it all out there. The season passes, just so everyone knows as well, if you own a ship, you do get passive NFT drops for those ships. We're talking accessories and resources and different ship parts. These are all things that will be used in game later. If you own a ship, you get them passively, but you get a small amount. If you have the season pass and you play that season pass through our website gamification, and you level that season pass up, then you get access to more of these resource NFTs and ship part NFTs and different gamified resources for the game when it comes out. That's what we're trying to do right now, create a gamification before the game even comes out. And it's all centered around the story and a little mystery of the Stygian light and overlaps. I'm just going to go over it quickly. The whole universe isn't just the normal universe. For a few hundred years, there's been anomalies popping in and out of existence in the galaxy, overlaps, as people know them. Bubble anomalies that can be as small as grapes and as huge as solar systems themselves. Bubbles where realities, different universes mix. They overlap, literally. And this is another aspect of the game that's going to be super interesting, because as you're going on quests, as you're going through these roguelike dungeons, the whole environment, or even half of the environment, it might be cut in half, might completely change if these overlaps appear or disappear as you're in them. What happens if you stay in one when it disappears? Would you go to another universe, another reality? So these are all things that we're also playing with. And it's all connected to a mysterious object called the Stygian light, a source of power that's some are looking for. News of its existence has been hidden for quite a while, no one really knows where it is, and shards of its container have spread throughout the galaxy. And these are the few things that, through their quantum entanglement, are helping people perhaps pinpoint where this source of power is. And this is kind of the journey that all the characters, all the players will be going through. I hope that summarizes it a little.
No, that is a very good answer. And your last bit there ties into my first bullet point of the storyteller. I'm expecting lore for days, and I could just feel you getting ready for it there. No, I think that's great. I am a sucker for lore. I was saying it before to Foxes. It goes back to all the MMOs, RPGs, the Dungeons and Dragons, the world building I do. You can sell me anything if it's got lore in it. To be honest, absolutely, it's my weak spot.
Galaxies.
I've wrote my questions down because I'm very prepared. I'm going to just check Sandbox to see if you had any questions. Else, I will go to the hands first.
I was gonna just ask to. It was like something that you mentioned right at the beginning of you were talking about it. First off, I'm super excited for the game just from the way that you have it completely talked about. Hades is super, super good. I am still stuck in it. I can't beat it. I beat the first boss finally, which was super, super like amazing for me. But you know, there's still so much levels that I have to get through in there, which I haven't done yet. You mentioned manga. And as an anime and manga fan, personally, I love that stuff. Is there somewhere that we can take a look and read the manga, or is that something that's only available for specific holders?
Yeah. No, everything we created as well with Danketsu, which is these are two different projects. I'm just telling you to tell you a bit about my story these last couple of years. But if you go to danketsu.io, the manga itself is up for anyone to see. The two first books are up now. Just so you know, I'll do a quick summary. Ada Ninjas, which is now called Danketsu, we have 3 different clans, and we sold 8,888 NFTs of each one. And these clans, these characters are the characters that some of them even appear on the manga itself. The 5 rarest ones are the leaders of each clan, and the community has been able to play. We've done some crazy games where on Discord, depending on your clan, you had a specific chat open, and the clans would all play at the same time. Battles where there were multiple choices, and they had to roll dice sometimes and send their champions, and the characters themselves, like the community themselves, drove what happened. And perhaps because of their choices, things happened in the manga that came out the week after or 2 weeks after, because I had to write the screenplay and create the storyboard and work with the manga team to make sure that every week or every 2 weeks, quarterly, we would have a 15 pages or 10 pages of manga come out. And then you can actually get the physical books, and also the soft novel, which was the first starting lore or short story that I created for Danketsu as a jumping point for the community to read and learn a bit about what's happening. That's available on book.io as an NFT already, so you can get that already. If you don't find it, or if you have any questions, I'm always open to messages. Just let me know.
Yeah, 100%. I gave you a follow, and that's something that I'll probably end up being in your DMs talking about it.
Oh.
That's a good one, definitely. We had Foxes. You had your hand up, but your hand's disappeared. You okay?
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, I was going to say also the comment about Hades. I'm actually ahead of you, Golden. I think I've beat like 2 or 3 bosses, but I think I'm at around my 50th attempt, and yes, I haven't finished. So yeah, it's a fantastic game. So I suppose, yeah, I love everything that you're talking about. My question was more around the roguelike features and just how does it connect with the blockchain element and the NFT element? Just a little bit of context. When we were kind of actually thinking about roguelites or roguelike at some point, and the difference being is obviously with roguelikes, the key to a true roguelike experience being that let's say Darkest Dungeon, right? At the end of the battle you lose your characters. Later on they actually added the ability to almost resurrect some of those characters, which I found quite interesting. So from true roguelike, some games move to a little bit being soft, essentially roguelite, or just additional game design mechanics to allow for people not to kill themselves, right? Not to go too sad about losing their character. So I was just wondering more about how does that link with the NFTs, right? The roguelike mechanic, and you don't need to answer if you don't have a complete questions, or if my question doesn't make a lot of sense. But I was just wondering how it kind of works.
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. It makes complete sense. We do not have the full answer, but what I can say is we've seen a lot of, or at least we've brainstormed a lot of possibilities. For example, one would be on the two sides of the NFT world is on the social hub module. When it comes out, as planets are created or spaceships are created, or space stations are created and owned by players, they could create their own mission in a sense together with us, right? That's one part of the NFTs. Just to mention that's something that we have as an idea that we hope to be able to put together. On the roguelike side of permadeath, as you say, it's more of a Hades style where you restart and you don't completely lose everything. That's our plan so far, and because of the story, because of the world creation that we've done so far, and the power of AI that involves not the creation of the game, but the Rogue Galaxies itself and the lore. AI is obviously extremely advanced at the time. It could be a potential idea to, when you play your character, is just you're living in a bodysuit in your ship, and the character that's down there on the planet is a robotic copy of you, right? So you don't die. Or perhaps it is a robot that you control, or perhaps the AI pulls you out when it knows your vitals are to a point. So we don't want, this is going to be a complex game that's going to have a lot of evolutions, a lot of seasons and stuff. So like you said, it might be on the softer side of roguelike. Will people lose their NFTs and ships? That might be a possibility. I cannot promise or say that would be the case for sure. So I don't have all the answers, but that's a great question, and it's very game centric. So thanks for that. And I love how you said like the feeling of rogue, or the meaning of rogue for you is one thing. We also, rogue is part of the what do you call it? The idioms of in Rogue Galaxies. The rogues and chasers are basically the same thing in our world, but depending on the way you see it. This is like pirates in space. If I was to condense it to the simplest form that we can understand nowadays, I would say it's pirates in space. Now, a pirate might call itself a free man, but the government might call them pirates, or they might call them buccaneers or corsairs or whatever. But right, so chasers are what they call themselves. Rogues might be what the governing bodies of that galaxy call them. So it's that play on what exactly does that mean, and it also connects with the idea of these bubble overlaps that appear and disappear, and they are a form of mystery themselves, and it turns your whole experience into a anything might happen at any moment, so I might as well become a rogue kind of experience. I hope that answers your question, Anna.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And just to add to that, yeah, just because it's quite interesting in the NFT blockchain space, right? We've had some ideas, not we, but people have told me ideas such as, for example, when you die in a battle, right, with your NFT, then your NFT gets burnt. So it's quite an interesting. There's some interesting things you can explore, right, with the blockchain. I know, right?
Yeah, 100%. For example,
it's some, yeah.
with Danketsu, we had a huge I think the biggest burn that's happened on the Cardano blockchain as well. And people have burned their characters, killed their characters off because in a huge battle, they had to send their ninjas to battle, and they got in return a fourth, which is an extra clan or two clans, or oh, I won't say too much more. But yeah, those possibilities are there. The fact that the technology does allow for these things to be burned is great. We don't have the balance yet of first we have to balance the game, and then we have to see, is it possible to burn an NFT, and will people, could we give them two choices? Either you go all out and win a lot, or you don't. Maybe the Stygian light is just within reach, and that's a final goal of all, but if you fail, you lose that NFT. That'd be amazing for me, but we have to make sure that this is a fun game and it's not just suffering in the end, because if it's something super hard and you die and you lose your NFT, maybe that's all the only NFT you had and you can't play anymore. We don't want to do that. So it's a matter of balancing later on down the road, I think. Like you said, we want to make the game fun, right?
No, that sounds really cool, and I like all the kind of ideas that are coming up on it. Golden, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, I had a very similar question to the previous speaker. I think her name's Anna. And so my question is, because you're making a rogue light, more or less, or are you making a rogue like? And there's a huge difference between roguelikes and roguelites. Roguelikes are like if you die during your run, that's it. You got to start over. Whereas like Hades, the game you quoted, is a roguelite, meaning like your progression system and stuff like that. Even if you die, your character is not necessarily dead. It's just he might lose all of the stuff that he had. And there's strengths and weaknesses with using the specific chain you're using. For that, like if it's going to be a roguelike, which is like the original game Rogue, or if it's a roguelite, their strengths and weaknesses, just because of the burning of NFTs, and if that's even like actually possible.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like we're somewhere in the middle, because so when you talk about these roguelikes, it is you start from the beginning and you go through the missions. There's one way to do it, and that's it. In our game, there's thousands of missions, thousands of planets there, and each planet, well, let's say hundreds at first, because thousands is going to be more down the road, but each planet is its own roguelike moment. So you go through it and you either succeed or die in that planet. And like I said, perhaps that death is just the death of something that you created to play in that planet. So it's somewhere in between. Each mission, each quest around the rogue galaxies is a roguelike, like a bubble roguelike. Actually, that's interesting to say. So yeah, it's somewhere in between. Each quest that you do will be a roguelike, but it's not like your character dies. Perhaps you lose your ship, which is one of the NFTs, but we still have to make sure that that is a balanced game, and that people just don't lose all their NFTs. So it's in between. Does that make sense? And does that answer your question? I hope it's it made.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's more like I don't know if you're familiar with like the EVE Online universe or
Yeah.
Well, EVE Online, everything's a clone, but your consciousness ascends into like a clone body. And then like if you die in your ship, it's not necessarily you. It's more or less your consciousness goes back to wherever it's supposed to go, and the clone dies.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned before that perhaps one possibility of fixing this is you are in a suit on your ship, and there's a copy of you that is a robotic copy actually on the planet, right? So we do want to have that feeling of loss and that one-way street that you either succeed or not, but we want the game to be playable long term, and something that, well, EVE Online also accomplishes, but in that way that you say, without destroying completely the experience for the player.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to. And so other roguelites that you might want to look at, because you're having a space thing, is I would say look at Risk of Rain 1 and 2. just because they're pretty damn good roguelites that are that have a story and progression and stuff like that, where you go down into different planets and are actually into one single planet, but you have different things could happen in the run. It's just I play a lot of rogue like and roguelike games, and there are differences and stuff like that. I would say also look at Lost Relic, because that's also a roguelike, and that's the probably the longest running blockchain game out.
Hey, thanks so much for that. Thanks a lot. And the other game that I haven't played yet actually is what's that called? Damn, I'll gotta check later. Well, anyway, I'll figure it out later. But yeah, any other questions? Because I was looking at, because I also made my notes about Rogue Fox, because it's so fun that we have so many similarities as well. With, like you talked about the curating of story, and that's also what we're trying to do, and the release once a month. If I may ask as well, because this has a lot to do with our modular way of doing it for Rogue Fox, did you decide to release once a month as well because of the way a huge game development takes place, or was it more of a community thing that you wanted to give them as soon as possible?
It's a bit of both. Thank you for this question. It's a bit of both, and also, but probably the true reason. Yeah, it's true for all these are benefits. Sorry, I'm outside going for dinner, as I said. But essentially, Morgan's way to operate as well. Our CTO's way is very agile, and it's very. He really likes to test things first, so it's a bit of both. It's exactly that. You don't want a huge gap in the process that you develop, and then once you, for say a year or 8 months or even 6 months, and then you release something and it's the wrong thing, right? Yeah. So it eliminates a risk early on, and you can test early on. And my background in product confirms that as well. So it's a bit of a software development, just as a rule, as a general rule, issue and solution, should we say? So yeah, it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I wanted to say, because for me, because of the new way that we're creating games in a sense, and the community, like you said, is first, because that is true, both for Danketsu and Rogue Galaxies, community is first. The fact that we're able to release in modules, and we're able to release in parts, and really include the community before the game even comes out, helps us really make it community driven, really make it community written with us. You know, I already have friends in the community that have been sending me stories that are mind blowing and amazing, and I'm already thinking of putting them in the story, in the missions themselves, or even in little like you said, Easter eggs here and there, just for the community. That's why I think it's also very interesting to be able to release in modules, because it allows the community to be a lot more involved in how it goes, how the development evolves as it's being developed. That's what I feel is so great about being able to do it in this modular way, month by month or quarter by quarter, and really see how the community reacts and what they really want. I made a note of that because I feel like there's a lot of connections between the projects, but yeah.
Oh, a hand shot straight up, so we'll go back to Fox's.
Yeah, thank you, Galaxies. Thank you, Ignacio. That's super awesome, and we'd love to talk further for sure, one-to-one, and see how we can collaborate. So my question was a question that I'm personally interested for, and I ask pretty much every game, and it's around the finances. So my question is, are you looking into perhaps venture capital or additional funding, or are you looking at more Web3 decentralized NFT fundraising strategy?
Yeah, but thank you for the question. At first, obviously, it's the NFTs that have begun the whole process. We don't need a huge team at the moment, because Eve and Robin they have years and decades of experience in gaming as well. They have their own gaming company called Smokestab, and All we need at the moment is them, myself, one more 3D artist, and with that, we're creating all the basics that we need. And through the NFT sales, we've been able to finance the beginning of the project. But of course, we're already talking about how to apply for different grants as well when it comes to. There's a lot of grants here in Germany, specifically, and Europe more as a wider overlap. Sorry, I say overlap. I already have it in my head all day. So we're also looking at grants. We're looking at different DeFi uh, investment funds and different particular investors. So no, we're not just hoping that NFTs will sell, because that's not how things should work, or it shouldn't be completely on the shoulders of the community to make a project survive. But we're hoping that at some point the economy of the game itself, although we're not planning on tokenomics or anything of the sort. We want to create an amazing game that is more for mass adoption than an NFT game. The NFTs are just, and blockchain is just the technology that allows us to do things in a different way, include the community, and do things that are more, they're the evolution of gaming. That's what we hope. But in the depth of it, we are a game, like you said before. So yeah, we are looking at normal classic as well, finance possibilities. Yes. I believe gold.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. That really helps. I think exactly like you said, Web2 being a game first, and that's really important, and mass adoption is very important as well. Yeah,
exactly. I want my mom or my friends that don't know anything about crypto. I don't care about selling them the idea of crypto or the idea of blockchain. I love the idea of selling them an amazing game that they can say, holy shit, I own my own thing, and I can, like you said as well, which is super important, I can share this, and this is the access to the game, and I can share with someone else, with a friend, and suddenly I bought 5 of these ships or 5 of these foxes, and now I have 5 friends that can play with me, and it doesn't really matter if they know anything about blockchain, or maybe as well, we're also planning different things with NMaker, because NMaker is the umbrella basically of this company as well, because we're creating it with them. They're creating solutions for identity ownership, whatever, for people not to even know that they own the NFTs in a sense, but be able to teach them through it. And Gaspode as well, if you love lore, one of the things that I love about storytelling, or the main thing, which is story, is the ability to teach others, whether consciously or subconsciously, give them ideas and understandings of the world. And if, for example, some of the characters going through, or some of the characters that you meet, some of the NPCs, or your character itself going through a mission, that mission has elements of blockchain and how blockchain works, how NFTs work, how these technologies can affect everyday life, and you see those characters living through that moment, you're indirectly teaching someone exactly what blockchain and NFTs are, and being able to do that through the story of the game, through their experience of this game, could hopefully also teach others about blockchain, just through the story of the game. That's something that I also feel is very important when it comes to mass adoption, is being able to, through the game itself, teach people what this whole game is about, and what is driving the game, what is moving the game, what is moving the minds of the people in the game. It's all a little interconnected. I really love lore and the depth of it.
There's some great answers there. Golden, I see you've got your hand up. We'll probably take that as the last question from Golden. But Golden, you've got your hand up there?
All right, so the last question I do have is getting back to the roguelike stuff. So are you going in a 3D direction or a 2D direction with the actual gameplay itself? And what algorithm are you using to generate your procedurally generated levels?
Yeah, 3D, third person. And that second part of the question, you have to ask the nerds who are Eve and Robin. Just like Gaspode, I am not an expert on Unreal Engine 5, although we are working on Unreal Engine 5. But when it comes to the procedural generation, I'm really not the person to ask. I will learn more about it, and hopefully on the next space I can tell you about it. What I do know is that. Oh, sorry,
I was gonna say, looking to have ask them if it's wave collapse function, because that's probably the best algorithm to use in UE and Unreal right now.
All right, I'll ask them. I'm pretty sure they know about this, but I will mention this. Wave function collapse algorithm 3D, right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'll ask them. But what I do know, because that actually takes to an interesting point, the procedural generation usually has a bad, it's got a bad aftertaste in the in people in general nowadays, right? A lot of this will be procedural generated, but there are things that even Robin are planning to really, because, for example, when overlaps appear, this will completely change the world that you live in. So not everything is, it's, I'll use a word from before, it's a curated procedural generation, if that makes sense. At least that, as far I know.
Yeah, that's how Warframe does it with their levels. It's not necessarily, it's not how could you say curated, but they put together different chunks, and then the chunks go together like Lego blocks. It's not generating every single tile.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're planning different terrains because these are things that are going to be both in our normal galaxy and in the normal laws of physics that we live in. These are going to be physical anomalies, really, like complete aberrations of reality in some points. So that's going to be an interesting mechanic, but we shall see later on.
There's some really good questions there, and through them, I've been able to tick off the vast majority that I put into my notebook. So you guys saved me a lot of talking, thankfully. I'm just going to make a couple of wrap-up statements. They're definitely statements this time. I'm sure of it by the way I've written down. Sounds like we are starting as a spaceship, and then we are, for the second module, we're going to be a person on planet.
Yes.
Is kind of what I was getting.
Exactly.
Your Cardano, I think you're our second Cardano ever. I think we had Wolves of Rome who are also Cardano. So you guys are rare.
Them.
Yeah.
I love them. Those guys are amazing. They're making an amazing card game. I know Patrick's here. He kicks ass at the game. I've played it as well. I have it on my computer. I'm looking at it right now. They're doing amazing things, the guys from Wolves of Rome. And we've done some collabs as well. We've worked with them both in Danketsu and Rogue Galaxies. Great team over there.
And then one bit to kind of mention that I think I try to mention all the time, but you guys brought it up again as well, is the fact that games take forever and they cost money. I think we've definitely moved away from the when whitelist kind of era during the bull run, and people are starting to understand that games, unlike PFPs, which you could just spurt out, take time. Being Web3, if anything makes it slower, it doesn't make it quicker, which I don't know where people were getting this magic idea from. So I'm glad to hear, I think both of you have mentioned it, I'm glad to hear more projects are saying that, because it helps as the space in general to kind of set people's expectations of what is possible. And I think it helps make sure that people are actually coming in for it for a real, decent reason. I'll just do a quick wrap up. That was great hearing from both the projects. Really enjoyed hearing both of them, and definitely be trying to give them a go for sure. I love jumping into more games. When my head is smaller, you might even feature on the wall behind it. But at the moment, you can't see any games in my PFP.
Yeah. If I may, just before you wrap up, sorry, because I talk about the passion of the story and the game and stuff, but then I don't talk about the things that I should talk about. And I just wanted to point out that at the end of the month, we are selling the next 1,000 ships and NFT and season passes for the gamification of the website, so that you can already start playing the game, the story, and be able to play the game later on. So if you want to check it out, please go to our website, please go to our Discord, and that's what I had to say. Thank you.
No, that's fine. And yeah, to be honest, I do the same on this space. I get lost talking about the game and then forget that I'm going to do all the Twitter stuff of saying, I've pinned my Discord to the top. I don't know if I even said that when I tweeted it. So pin the Discord to the top. Retweets and follows are always welcome for these games. Definitely go in and jump in the Discords if you liked what you've been hearing. Thanks again for coming on and sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Time is very valuable. So I am very happy that you guys decided to spend an hour and 37 now with us. Hopefully Rogue Foxes have been able to get some food so they don't waste away, and this is their first and last space as they die of hunger. Thanks to everyone in the audience who came and had a listen. Thanks for everyone who's listening on the recording. Hopefully you got some valuable information. Hopefully your juices have been flowing. We're trying to get into these games and enjoy them. I know I'll be definitely trying to tuck in. Thanks for the people who've come up and asked questions. Golden, always an absolute encyclopedia of games. And we will be back next week with some more games. We are fully booked all the way through January. If you know any games that you want to hear from, either if you're with them, get them to get in contact, or if you want me to, just drop me a message with, hey, we'd like to hear from these, and I will slide into those DMs. I've been rejected plenty of times, so there is no shyness on asking people to come on the space. So far, silence has been all I've got from the nose. No one's been verbally abusive, so I think I'll be fine if you do have any games that you want us to talk to. The Discord I've shared at the top is mainly around sharing out access keys I get. So I've got a couple of roles where I get given access keys. So it's to share with you guys so you can get into games that maybe you wouldn't have a chance to as well. I also share some assets which again give access to games if that's anything that anyone fancies, as well as having nights where we try and play games together. I will let Sandbox do a quick wrap up before I do my final tagline, but just a big thanks before Sandbox and then my final tagline.
Yeah, big thanks to Gaspode again for having me. I was a little late to the AMA, but I'm so glad you kept me up as a co-host. I'll make sure the next time I'm not as late. But thank you to Rogue Fox Guild. It was a pleasure talking to you guys and Rogue Galaxies. I'm really excited for the games that you guys have building. I'm a huge fan of roguelikes and roguelites, and I'm super excited to see where the games end up going. And I know that you guys have both games have a lot of love from games that I've played before, such as Hades and Don't Starve. So I'm excited to see where you guys end up going. So thank you again.
And with that, thanks everyone. And remember to play games that you enjoy. Thanks all.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much,
for
guys.
having me.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.